To anybody below 40 years old, the following job will probably come across to you as an absolute stunner and shocker. And yet, there were people, many, many people, in the Wayback Machine of the 1960s and 70s, who knows, maybe even the early 80s, that actually held down this position. And if you think about it, in the realm of things, those years ago weren't that many years ago. Really, they weren't. I know it sounds far away for somebody young. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jan. Welcome to another episode on this channel, the Save Money More Jan channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening is right. How you doing today? Hope everybody is doing well. I just had my coffee, but I think I need a little more caffeine to wake me up further. How much progress has been made and at what cost? Years ago, and I could tell you this for a fact, when I left high school, I had a little bit of fun for a couple of weeks in the summer to get all my high school fun out of me. But then I right away took on a full-time job to start earning money. That's right. Right away, start earning money. And it was a full-time job in corporate America. And I had the skills, the skill set from the school skill set. But I worked for a company, big company in the middle of Manhattan. In fact, in the same building that who knew years and years and years later would turn out to be the headquarters for Fox News, okay, for the Fox News channel. But right there on oh my gosh, at 1211 6th Avenue. Yeah. That's where it was. Yep. So many things have changed, and I want to show you a position that existed. It wasn't my position because I was a filing coordinator at that time. First job, entry level, foot in the door, whatever you want to call it. I was a filing coordinator, and it was a great experience. Got my foot in the door to learn how to do that and stuff of that nature, and it was great. But there were actually people paid because this was a massive company. It still exists, by the way. And let's just say that it is an umbrella company for CPAs. That's all I can say about that. Make a long story short, there were people paid. Usually it wasn't a woman. I'm not saying it was only women, but usually for some reason or another, I recall women pushing around carts with mail in it. Now, not coming from necessarily the mail room for outgoing mail. Like this particular company, I don't know, I think it occupied like a couple of floors in that building. And that building at 1211 6th Avenue, that building is a massive building. It was a massive building then. It's a massive building now, except they, majorly, took over, with the Fox. But make a long story short, there were people back in the day paid for moving around internal mail correspondence. Who remembers growing up how to type up an interoffice memo? Anybody out there recall doing that? Creating an interoffice memo. What is an interoffice memo? Someone jogged my memory about this thing. I completely forgot about this. But all day long, there was somebody on each floor going around collecting mail. Let's say that you wanted to go to another department within the company, and you would put your whatever it is you had to talk about to someone else, another department head, put it in an envelope, a brown envelope, and then you'd scratch out the name. Anybody remembering all this or what? And then you give it to that person who would come and collect it, and then they would go to another department in the big massive company, and they would send that interoffice memo. Like, let's say that there was a change of time at a meeting, and instead of email, there was no email. There was no email. Do you have to make an interoffice a memo delivery person exist anymore? No. But that was a real job, and people got paid Monday through Friday to circulate important messages from departments within large companies. I am certain that I jogged a memory or two for anybody out there listening who may be of a certain age that worked for a large corporation in America. Yes. An inter-office mail. Oh my gosh. Remember learning how to send them a memorandum. That was the big word for it. And there was somebody paid to deliver those letters. No such thing as email. Now, when email first came out, a lot of people were like, I got to learn this. I don't want to learn this. Why should I have to learn this? I don't want to learn this. Then you'd hear the post office lamenting, wait a minute. So now that this is happening, this is also going to be not just within inter-office action to send an email, but let's say I want to notify somebody living 5 states away of something. They don't have to lick a stamp and throw it in the post office. And guess what? And the post office did take some sort of a hit with that because they also lost a lot of mail, snail mail. Now, there was a lot of transitioning going on in reference to mail and correspondence. But I did look back. This lady used to come around maybe about 3-4 times a day to check everybody's inbox, outbox, to pick up the mail. Now, some of it was snail mail that went out, and talk about at the office at that address, for example, for that company. And also for inter-office memo, which had its own unique brown envelope with a lot of lines on it. And if you received an inter-office memo, memorandum about an announcement or whatever the issue was, you'd open it up, you'd read it on that big envelope. You don't throw it away. No. Costly. That's another thing. People reuse things, okay? You would scratch the previous name off. There was an envelope with a list of lines on it. And you would scratch off the previous addressee, if you will, in the department. But a lot of people ended up losing their jobs. A lot of people were hired on purpose for the one and only thing that they did all day long, which was a crucially important job of getting around inter-office memos. Honestly, I don't know why they just didn't call people up. Call each other up on the extension and give the message. They didn't do that. Okay? So what they did instead was that. But I guess also they wanted to put things in actual writing so that people could prove, oh, yeah, I notified Department XYZ about such and such a situation. Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay. So they put it in actual writing. Amazing. Really, really is amazing. And while the transition did happen where people did lose their jobs, maybe they were placed into other positions within the larger companies. This is my hope. I don't know that. And hold down that job. I held down a file clerk job. That was my big first job. Yay. Right after high school. Yay. File clerk. But I'm not going to put it down because that's the job that helped pay for my broadcasting school. Okay. So I was doing, believe it or not, a person could do more than one thing at one time. So I went to broadcasting school, paying on my own. Mom and Dad did enough paying for the elementary and the high school and all that. And God bless them for it. And I thank them forever. But then it was time to, grow up, become an adult, and pay for the remainder of my education. That was a choice I made, but that is another show. There was no such thing as, I don't recall. No, there were things like student loans, I guess, back there, but I never took them. I didn't want things like that. I said, nah, I want to pay for it on my own. That was me. Did I do a good thing? Yeah. Looking back, people are like, you don't want to go to standard college? No, I didn't. I wanted to jump right into earning money right away. That was Jan's plan. Still learning, but learning. I didn't care about liberal arts. I cared about going to broadcasting school. Everyone is different. Liberal arts didn't pay the rent. You know what I'm saying? Know what I mean? So for me, no. But anyway, that's its own show. And I could talk about that at another time. But let's go back to this inter-office mail situation. Let's think about something for a minute. Yes, that happened. Yes, email replaced things. Yes, it definitely was a game changer. at first it was like, ugh. And then people realizing, wait a minute, I can notify something in writing quickly. 1, 2, 3, quickly. And then who remembers that is now a dinosaur at this time? But email survived, okay? Who remembers fax? FAX. Oh, yeah, you heard of that. Okay, so that was another method of communication where people would fax over documents. Oh, the thought, I don't have to physically deliver something to that place and fax over a document. You know how fax used to work and all that. But nowadays it's considered practically a dinosaur because there are other methods that people do things. Listen, progress is always going to happen. All right, so right now we're dealing with the two-letter entity, which has been really covered. Hello, can't talk. Need more coffee? Hello, coffee time again? No, covered constantly on media, constantly, almost, in my opinion, but maybe because I'm an old goat, but almost to the point of almost ad nauseum. I get it. You're excited about it. Yay. But all the time with progress comes a price. Yes. And unfortunately, the reality of this new thing is not just getting rid of the lady or gentleman that would push around a cart at the corporate office headquarters all day long with interoffice memos in brown envelopes. This other new entity is taking over. That's the reality. A lot of jobs. However, does anyone talk about the jobs that two-letter entity may be creating? Or we're just not ready or feel like learning something new? See, here's my area of contention that I don't care for. I don't think that the message of what this two-letter entity really is, carefully explaining to the folks just what is it, is being carefully, not carefully, more broadly, I don't know, I'm looking for the right word. The word isn't getting out big enough as to, well, what is this thing really? That's my opinion. I could be 100% wrong. Because if I ask the average person, okay, what is this thing? Two-letter entity. They'll be like, a lot of people, well, it's a new thing and it's going to replace jobs. Okay, we know that, but what is this thing? Then they might call it out for the two words that we're all familiar with now. But what does it really do? Okay. I mean, like, I saw a commercial ad of someone looking at a refrigerator who couldn't figure out what to do with some leftovers in their refrigerator to formulate a meal. Person was tired, a long day, and the person tapped in a question, I suppose, and got an answer. Okay, I don't see anything wrong with that, other than if, in my opinion, and I'm just one little person here in New York thinking this way. What happens? Are we going to turn our brains into mush by not being able to be a little creative and figure things out? I don't want us to lose our thinking skills. This is my, again, opinion. But then again, if we resisted email, what would have happened then? Email is a wonderful, great way of communication. If we resisted every single thing, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to, as they call it, a cloud, putting my messages on a cloud that ends up on your phone. I get up in the morning, I get ready to go into my electronic broadcasting studio, and then I speak my messages. And at first, all it is a grown woman talking inside a computer by herself at, let's say, I'm looking at the actual time of day today. On this date, 1 week prior to when you're listening, is 5:46 a.m. in New York City, Eastern. Okay? At 5:46 a.m., I'm talking into a computer. Just myself and the broadcast studio. Nowhere else. My computer is capturing the information that I'm giving to you. And it's a little bit of a lonely chat because it's just me talking into a computer. There's nobody on the other end saying, "Hey, how you doing today?" That comes later on in about a week when you respond to comments on the video. But where would we be without this technology? Because then, after my computer captures this message from a cloud, if you will, think about that for a minute. After the message is done, then I download it to my computer. I check for any really huge mistakes. If I don't like it, I redo the take. Been doing that for years now. Hello. Then I send it over to the platform that I choose to send it to. In my case, it's YouTube. Okay. So I send it over to there, and then I schedule it, and a week later it is a broadcast. No longer is it just Janet speaking into a lowly little quiet computer at 5:48 now in the morning. No, 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 no. That's finished. That's over. Then it becomes a broadcast that anyone could tap in on my channel from any part of the world. Even though I'm recording this in New York City, somebody in Kalamazoo, Michigan may want to hear Jan. Okay, I don't know that. I don't know that. I appreciate that. Somebody in California can tune in and say, "What is this lady talking about?" I don't know that. Somebody out of the country, anywhere across the globe that has internet access to get to this platform, can find this channel and listen to a broadcast. That's why we call it broadcast. It is broadly casted. Okay. How did this start out? As a quiet little message between myself and a computer recording me on a cloud early in the morning because I made the decision. But you see how many things have changed since those days? Too many things have changed since those days. It's just phenomenal. Now, some for the better, some not so great. That's another show. That's a different story time. But I just wanted to let you know. Oh, another interesting thing. I don't know. I doubt it if this still exists. Maybe it does. Who remembers pneumatic mailing? What the heck is that? There was this long thing, okay, and it usually had a like a glass outside of it, and it went through, let's say, from the top of the building all the way down to the mailroom, and people would throw their actual mail, like outgoing mail directly to the mailroom into this thing called a pneumatic tube. I think that was the name of it, a pneumatic tube. Yeah. Gosh, how old fashioned. And I'm dating myself here. But pneumatic tube was also out 50 years before I was even doing that back in the 70s. So that was going on for like decades prior, probably even the 20s or 30s. And you would throw your mail down that. And it was funny watching the thing capture it, and then it vacuum sucked it downstairs. It was really weird. Am I jogging anyone's memory out there? I know the show's running a little longer today, but that's okay. Every once in a while, it's okay for me to blab a little longer than usual. But I'm just bringing up some story time about progress and another thing. I remember my dad when I was at some point in high school. Bless his heart, miss your dad. And he was telling me about this newfangled appliance called a radar range. He said, I can't explain it to you, but if you put something in there to heat up, he said in a matter of seconds it would heat it up. That was the early form of a microwave. A microwave. Okay, now I lost my dad many, many years ago. Many years ago. Okay, what was I about? I think I just turned 19 about a month later. Yeah. And things have changed quite a lot since then. In fact, I was working at that company with the interoffice memos as a file person when I lost him. If he came back right now and saw what technology is like today, I don't think he'd believe it. I don't think he'd believe it. Can you imagine, like, if people that you knew and loved years ago, many years ago, that you lost them, came back right now? Wow, what a difference. In many ways, wonderful progress. In many ways, gee, I wish they didn't change that. I don't know if it's part sentiment. I don't know if it's just being resistant to change. But I know this: change will always be. And that's why we call many things evolution. And we ended up working through it. It takes a little time. Ask a lot of questions. This is important. If you don't understand something, ask questions. Okay? That's very, very helpful. Asking questions, no matter what era it is, I can promise you this as a former teacher, will never go out of style. Thank you so much for being here. I truly, 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 truly appreciate everybody's time. Don't forget to come back in the future every single day and upload at 5 a.m. Went a little bit longer than usual, but that's okay. Take good care of yourself and your amazing family. Super thanks are forever appreciated. Thank you.